मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः peace, peace, peace. Welcome to the satsang that continues with the understanding of who am I, Atma, and what I am not, Anatma. So, through our satsang journey, we have begun to recognize that I am not the limitations posed by my body, by my mind, the mind-body complex, though it seemingly appears like me, but through the systematic investigation of the Sharira Trayam, the Sthula Sharira, gross body, the Sukshma Sharira, subtle body, and through the Karana Sharira, or the causal body, which is nothing but a container of the other two, they are definitely modes of my being and transacting, but yet they are not me because they are inert, they are completely dependent, whereas I am independent. I am a pure consciousness, Chaitanyam, Swarupam, and I am independent, Swatantra. I am not dependent on anything. If I do not interact with these bodies, for example, if I withdraw my connection with the gross body, it is called death. But I do not die. I continue, I travel. I continue to have different experiences. So therefore, I am independent. I am nirgunaha. I am not limited by any quality. Because if I am told I am yellow or green, very nice, but then am I not anything else? That is not true. So any quality is a limitation and upadhi, which I am not. I am beyond limitations, hence I am nirgunaha. I transcend qualities. I am ekaha, I am one. Though it appears that there is Atman in various modes and expression, in the creeper, in the plant, in the animal, in the different human beings, but knowledge is now showing to me that consciousness is only one, though it can be expressed in multiple ways, just as electricity is one, but different bulbs of different sizes can light up. I am also understanding that I am kalahatita, I am beyond time, I am beyond space. I am understanding these qualities about myself, and I am told that at the level of the individual, when my consciousness is expressing itself through one body-mind, it is known as Atman. When the same one consciousness, because there is no two, Advaitam, that is my nature, I am one. I cannot be split up. So therefore, when the same consciousness expresses itself through the total setup, it is called Brahman. And when it expresses itself through this individual setup, it is called Atman. That is the only thing. So it is not a real difference. It is only the difference of how I see the expression. So, Apnoti sarvam iti Atma. That which is boundless and all-pervading is Atma. And this Atma is the same as Brahman. So, I am that consciousness. First, I didn't even know that there is something behind this body-mind which is eternal, undying, unchanging. I didn't know that. And then I am told that it is the same as that which is behind this entire world of change and transformation, and yet itself remains unchanged. unmoving, and that is Brahman, then how did it so become that I, which is Brahman, the biggest, feels so small, feels so fragmented, feels so broken? But Vedanta says, Shastra says that Jivatma, which is the Atma, when it is associated with one Jiva, body, mind, ego, and Paramatma, the same Atma, associated with the largest possible infinite setup, Paramatma, they are one. So Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam. Aikyam means oneness, unity. Vedanta says that is the fact. Just as the gold ornament is one with the gold, a wave of the ocean is the same as water. The pot of the clay, it has some temporary identity, but it is one with clay. Do you agree? So clay is the truth, whereas pot is the changeable, apparent truth. In this common sense example, because we have been able to teach Vedanta with very common sense examples. We don't have to cook up theories or create invisible things and believe in them. So whereas the pot can break, clay will not break. The gold ornament can become a bracelet, a earring, a chain, but the gold itself cannot be changed. In this example, the wave can rise and collapse, be frothy or vaporize, but basically the water element cannot change. So there is something which is unchanging in this example, and it we call as Satyam. That which does not change in past, present or future and will remain the same in every state of consciousness and time is known as the absolute reality or Satyam. And it is by nature independent. The gold doesn't depend on the bracelet, bracelet depends upon the gold. Clay does not depend upon the pot, pot depends upon the clay. So it is the truth, it is independent, and it is the absolute, it is the Satyam, and that which is impermanent and changing form is called as the relative reality. And whatever is relative, we are not in the quest for it, we are merely to understand it, and it is what we call mithya. So the question here is that when I am apnoti sarvam iti atma, when I am the unbounded one, how did I become bound? In the common sense example, if I am the clay, then in the pot I feel limited. I have this much clay, this much weight, this is my size, and if I break, surely I will lose all existence. And imagine a fear-filled clay pot. Imagine. So if oneness is our unity, then why did I forget that? That is the question. Because of the anatma medium, the non-self medium, which is the 5 layers of the personality, the kosha panchakam, annamaya kosha, body, outermost body suit made up of food, pranamaya kosha, vital sheath, energetic sheath, vata, pancha prana, Manomaya kosha, where all the vrittis, thought waves are moving back and forth. They are also subtle matter. Vijnanamaya kosha, intellect. Anandamaya kosha, subconscious layer, where all the seeds and the vasanas or the very, very seed impressions we are carrying is stored. If all of these five, they seem to be very active and they are cooperating and coordinating for us to have a very empirical experience, but yet at the same time they are anatma, they are non-self, because they are dependent upon the atma that I am. When I separate from them, some degree of it, they cannot function. So this anatma is nothing but the medium through which I, the atma, interact. But somewhere in the interaction with this anatma, please notice, I become conditioned by this anatma. I become layered by the anatma. I become limited by this anatma. I went into a cave. I find myself in a cave. I identify myself so much with the cave that I have forgotten that I can leave the cave. I have forgotten. And this ignorance of my choice is called avidya at the individual level. This ignorance that I am not my 5 personalities, or I am not my 3 bodies, gross, subtle and causal, even though from Anadikala, from the beginning of time, they seem to be with me. I am so much using my medium that I have become intertwined with it, that I have to be reminded that you are the master of your mind. Mind is not your master. I have to be reminded of that. And in fact, proof that I am not that is self-evident to me, because when my teacher reminds me that you are not any of these personalities, I somehow am able to change things around. Until such time I think I am my mind, then I have to, like a zombie, do what my mind says I have to do. I have to, like a zombie, feel what my mind is feeling. I have to, like a zombie, eat what my mind and indriyas or senses are asking me to eat. But once I am reminded, wait a minute, you can just tell your senses to take a break and tell your mind to go to a hike. And you do it. You say, enough, keep quiet now. Change your thoughts. You have been talking too much inside me. Now sing the Gayatri mantra for 108 times. And it is singing it. And you suddenly realize, oh, what happened here? Yeah. You are not that. That owes its existence to you. For example, this camera in front of me has no existence apart from me. If I see it, it exists. If I don't see it, it cannot exist. Are you understanding? The subject decides whether it is a particle or a wave. The subject decides what is happening in the object. But when the subject forgets and identifies itself with the object, then the object becomes the snake, which scares us, and we are unable to see that it was merely a rope. But it appeared to us as a snake. Hence, this recognition that anatma is merely a medium. I am not only an atma, I am, in due course I will discover, I am paramatma. And this my teacher is telling me, but gradually, I get to realize that I am Atma. So, the relationship between one Atma and Paramatma, the Atma, Paramatma, is a relationship of oneness, ekatva. And the relationship between Atma and Anatma means I am Atma and I have Anatma as in 5 layers surrounding me. What is that relationship? That relationship is of depender and dependee. This Anatma is dependent upon me. I am independent of it. And once we realize this, we are able to break free, but we are not able to realize it. And until such time, at the individual level, we have a cognition error. And it is called avidya. What is this avidya? Avidya is not merely lack of knowledge. It's not merely an absence of knowledge. This avidya operates at the individual level in each one of us. So each one of us, it is not just a phenomenon of the front row is confused and all the back rows know they are Atma. No. Each one of us, from the ant to the human being, are Jivatmas surrounded by our Anatma mediums. Do you agree? The same Atma in the ant merely has a ant kind of a medium. Do you agree? Anatma. And the same Atma expresses itself through the evolved human mind-body suit. Do you agree? Atma is the same. However, be the Atma in the ant, be the Atma in the cow, be the Atma in the human being. It is the cognition error of who I am is most evident in the human being, because only the human being has the ability to question after their stomach is full. After their basic needs are full, they begin to have another need, and this is the need of self-recognition, self-actualization, self-realization. Do you agree? If you remove all the glamour from the word of self-realization, it means nothing but asking the basic question and receiving the answer, who am I and what am I doing here? And this is a question Atma can ask of itself and its teacher or each other in a special medium of Anatma called the human mind body. Ego, right? And in this, the avidya is very pronounced. The Atma in the ant is also Paramatma, but the ant running from one end of where it found the sugar morsel to its home, it doesn't question why I am running. And for some time the humans also don't question why I am stealing the sugar and running. But at some point when they've had a sugar overload, they question. Who me? What is the sugar? Why am I eating? What is the compulsion? Why am I addicted? This Atma in this specific Anatma says why, who, what. Now Vedanta begins to answer. Now Vedanta says that the reason we, Jivatma, which is Paramatma, forgets even our Atmahood, our real self, and gets lost in the mind-body Jiva is because of the operation of a principle called avidya at the individual level and Maya at the collective, total, cosmic level. And this avidya is not negative, like I mentioned earlier, that oh, you just don't have the knowledge, then the teacher gave you the knowledge and then you have it. It is not like you didn't know how to calculate 2 plus 2, then you went to school, you were taught and you were shown and that how 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, 2 sticks 4, and somehow you got it. No. It is a real, positive activity or action. Where it came from? Because if there is something called Maya, we have been told there is only Brahman. So are we saying there is Brahman and then there is Maya? that will make it Dvitiyam too. There is only oneness. So Vedanta, look at the sages and their beautiful honesty. They say, can a child be present at its own mother's birth? It cannot be. In the same way, we who are caught up in Maya, can we know why this Maya is there? Why we all, the ant from one A to point B, and the human being from point A to point B, and the sunflower from point A to point B continue on a ceaseless journey? We don't know. It is like you enter a bar and everybody is on the drug of speed. Everybody. So nobody really knows why they are there. Nobody really knows the way out. But because everybody is high on speed, it has become the norm. And rules and laws are made to exist in that bar. You can be in the leadership in the bar. You can be victims or aggressors. You can be haves and have-nots. And as long as we do not break through that bar of speed, the speed bar, we speed return to that bar. Because the whole goal of this game show is to know that nobody is bounding you to be in that bar. Open the window, open the door, walk out. And as you are opening the door, there is no bar to really walk out of, because Atma is Nishkriya, it is unmoving, nothing is really happening. Just like you wake up from a dream, you wake up from the Vyavaharika reality and you inherit your Paramarthika or original source reality. Just as in the dream, you were running and being chased by demons, and you were running and you were puffing and you had no way out, but the only way out was to wake up and realize it's a dream. In the same way, you can move furniture around only so much in the Vyavaharika reality and get comfortable only so much and have bank accounts only so much and make friends only so much, because at the end of the day, there is no surety except to wake up. But why are we not awake? We are not awake because the operation of the way our limited faculties, the ant its own, the rabbit its own, and the human its own, limited faculties, limited ability to receive the source consciousness in a distorted way within our limited jiva. And so, what was to begin with nirgunaha, without quality, nishkriyaha, unmoving, swatantrataha, independent, nityaha, eternal, appears to be with qualities black, white, yellow, brown, short, dwarf, tall, good looking, bad looking, fat, thin, moving, always questing, feeling mortal, scared, unable to face death, without the confidence, I'm not dying. Finally, a chance to take a breather from the speed bar. No, everyone running, spending money, why? To live. That which is eternal is just merely dropping a physical layer, the outermost layer only, to pick up a brand new layer. We should rejoice, but instead we lament. So this forgetfulness is called avidya at the individual level and Maya at the cosmic level, and we all are going from pillar to post, from one birth to a death, to another birth to another death, traveling through this samsara of repetitive existence without knowing our real self, because of the operation of nothing but our inability to perceive, and why it exists we do not know, say the rishis, but it is there. Just like you cannot see the individual electricity, it is flowing by itself. It did not say that I will like to light up your bulbs, but when a certain equipment, only when a certain equipment is put in the way of the electricity, it lights up. But if you remove that equipment, there is no light. So Maya shows its naked dance based upon our cognitive faculty. It is definitely how it began, we don't know. But unlike Brahman, which is eternal, infinite, anadi and nityam, it is not anadi. It can be ended, Vedanta says, with samyak jnanam or brahma jnanam or atma jnanam, knowledge, the ultimate knowledge of Brahman, of Atman and of reality. And so the quest of Vedanta began to end this cognitive limitation that is imposed upon all of us. And so society's norms, religion's norms, relational norms, self-inflicted norms, we just are products of that. We live and die in it. We are unable to raise our head above it and say, wait a minute. Who am I? Am I a Jew? Am I a Hindu? Really? Really? Oh. And so goes the story. This avidya, they don't know how it started, because there is only one Brahman. And the one who is Jnani goes beyond the Maya. Vedanta says you can know about the operations of Vedanta. The best way is to go beyond it. And go beyond it by adopting new belief systems about yourself. Just like many of us go to an ordinary psychologist. Not even $150 an hour, $50 an hour psychologist. And that $50 an hour psychologist said, come on, have a little more power in your relationship. And suddenly you have more power in your relationship. What happened? Merely that psychologist replaced some belief systems. So definitely we are living out the story based on the deepest held belief systems about ourselves. And what Vedanta does is, at a very deep cognitive level, it exposes Maya and the self-adopted limitations of Maya. And what can be the deepest limitation than the limitation that I am mortal? I have a really short life. I am limited by my qualities or bloated by them. I am a temporal being influenced by time and space. These are the core limitations. Somebody can say, you know, you're really limited by being a Hindu, why don't you become a Catholic? And somebody may say, you can be really limited being a Catholic, why don't you become a Muslim? Okay, discard one set of values and start another set of values. But what are the core values that still keep us high and away from our true source and grabbing at what we can in the speed bar is still that drug called Maya at the collective level and avidya at the individual level. This Maya and this avidya has to be pierced. Pierced through what? Knowledge. And not ordinary knowledge. This is Atma Jnana or Brahma Jnana, the knowledge given by the teacher, the traditional teacher of Vedanta. How this avidya works was observed. It works in very unique ways. In the first example that I gave you in the Intro to Vedanta series was about how in the less light, the individual walks in and gets scared because there is a snake in the room and panics and fears and screams. But when light is switched on, light represents knowledge, they relax and realize it is only a rope. So the way avidya or maya works is, first it conceals the vyavaharika reality, the empirical reality. It conceals it. First it conceals. What is reality? It conceals. Next step, it projects a snake in the mind. So it projects a pratibhasika reality. So, for example, I am sitting in front of my student Risa. The reality is VR1. First, it will hide this reality. Second, it will project a difference, and difference of every possible kind. And thirdly, so the first concealing is called avaran, concealment. Then projection, which is called vikshepa. And then it will activate a whole samsara. First, the knowledge gets concealed that you and I are one. Then a projection of very detailed separation, and then the activation of a cycle of worldly transactions and samsara into samsara, and your world and my world, and they coincide, and all sorts of drama is created. Suddenly, that pure consciousness, which is unchanging, has a lot of drama going on. So what it does is it creates vivarta or appearance. Vivartavad, when we talked about causation of the universe, I explained that it is neither an evolution, this jagat, this world, nor it is just a creation by a playful God saying now the worlds, but rather it is an appearance. Whereas the substantial reality, Brahman, remains unchanged. Just as the snake appeared, and with knowledge it disappeared. The world appeared in the dream, with the knowledge it disappeared. In the same way, in avidya, all such of things appear, and with knowledge they disappear. This Maya holds us all. So there is none other. You can say that Maya is also very much an aspect of Brahma. That empirical one, the absolute one. Not empirical but absolute one. And yet, in this empirical world, we forget who we are, and Maya operates through each one of us like that. And when we fall asleep, we go into minute by minute changing worlds. And all of this is projected due to this Maya. Like a heavy blanket, it covers our consciousness. And within that, from minute to minute, we try to find ourselves, how lost we are. And so Vedanta said, let go of that minute to minute self-ease. Find the source of ease within you, and that source is Atman, and this Atman, which is Brahman, is as far as you want and as near as you want. But first know what you are not. You are not the Anatma, you are Atma, you are Chaitanya Swarupa. So your new ID is, I am pure consciousness, Aham Chaitanya Swarupa. I am Mahi Brittany Barrett is one word, but that is okay in the empirical world, that is your reality. Then when she was dreaming, she saw herself as a girl in the bank of the river India, and she said, I am Nandani so and so in the dream. It is okay. What's her reality? Then she said, I am Chaitanya Swarupa. I recognize now through the words of my teacher that because I am under the spell of Maya, which is avidya deep in myself, I cannot able to understand that I am neither of those. Now this can be very limiting, or it can set us free. If I am neither of that, then I can be anything I want. This can limit us, or it can set us free. And when it sets us free, we are able to get our freedom even from this avidya or Maya, because it is may be beginningless, we don't know when it began, but it is not shashvat. It is not eternal. But for the ajnani, for the one who does not have knowledge of this, and who has not understood at a deep, deep level, it is eternal, you may think. And this eternal, what happens to the one who buys into avidya, who lives in the speed bar and plays by its rules and tries to be the goody two shoes and does a lot of charity and gives away their speed, or is evil and tries to buy other people's speed. Ultimately, good or bad transactions are all in Maya. So the one who is generous and nice gets to have a better kind of a bar to be in, and the one who is very, very negative gets to be in the worst kind of bar, but the basic samsara remains one, which is filled with a drug, and that drug is Maya or avidya, in which we are far from ourselves, and we say, who I? I am a very, very noble and charitable person. I have looked deep inside. I am a compassionate and kind person. So says the whole world. But even compassionateness and kindness is a limitation to Atman. It is a preference to being an evil, bad-hearted person, but it is still virtue also is a limitation. Look at the thinking of Vedanta, which was thinking of transcendental consciousness, beyond vice and virtue. And then how we continue to remain caught in this samsara again and again, we have to then understand why in this finitizing principle of Maya, which makes an attributeless Brahman become finitized and be phenomenalized, that Maya which converts that calm, unchanging, calm is also an attribute I have just added, but Satchitananda Brahman into this active, buzzing, dying, being born universe, then I have to pierce this Maya, but before that I have to understand one principle, and it is the principle of karma. In fact, Vedanta says more important than self-knowledge, more important than self-knowledge for us in Vedanta is to understand the principle of karma. Because if we do not understand this principle of karma, self-knowledge cannot come our way. Because if we don't understand the principle of karma, we remain by default stuck under the law of karma, which in Maya keeps us in the clutches of Maya. It is not an evil principle. Everything in Brahman is neutral. When we understand the principle, we can use it. When we don't understand it, chances are we will get manipulated. And so this law of karma is very, very important for us to understand. How do I understand that I am the original consciousness and not this distorted consciousness? We have to think and look at it. I only have about 15 minutes, so maybe I'll stop here and begin with the law of karma next time. Jnanam or Brahma Jnanam, special kind of knowledge, self-knowledge, Atma Jnanam, Samyak means correct knowledge. It will make me realize that I am independent from this setup and I am independent from this body-mind setup. So to conclude, I can tell you what will be the fruits of the knowledge, of this kind of knowledge. What are the Jnana phalam. What are the fruits? There are two kinds of fruits we get from Shravanam, listening, Mananam, contemplating, and Nididhyasana of this knowledge, practicing this knowledge of Vedanta. There is fruit of knowledge that we can experience while living, okay? And there is fruit of this knowledge that we can experience after we drop this body, which technically we call death. I will live, I will drop this body, okay? So the first benefit that we get is that I become completely aware of in my independent status. I want you to know that as you are continuing to study, including the law of karma that is coming up and the whole satsang process, the goal of Vedanta satsang is to not develop wings and fly. The goal is very, very practical and real. It says you will become independent. How? You will become emotionally independent. This emotional slavery, tell me how many hands, is the biggest cause of sorrow in the Maya. Tell me, how many? You will become mentally, emotionally, psychologically an independent person, and presence of things or absence of things will not affect you. You will notice them, but you will not break down. You may have a preference, but you will not be limited. This is the goal of Vedanta. Imagine what a philosophy to know yourself, to know God. The absolute principle is God. The absolute beyond Maya principle, in which Maya, that absolute principle, in trying to understand it, it becomes an aberrated consciousness like Maya. That absolute Brahman is God. And by knowing all of this, what do we get? We are emotionally free. Wow. That feels very little. But you don't know how vast it is. Because even the biggest spiritual, most advanced person in their heart has a little corner which is weeping. If nothing else, for God. If nothing else, for God. It is feeling alone. It is feeling scared. So one is, it becomes swatantraha. Second, it doesn't feel less. It doesn't say, oh Krishna, come show me yourself. Oh Dhanvantari, come in your yellow robes. Then I will know I am a good Vaidya. No, it is purnatvam. You feel fullness. Now you are doing art. You are doing artwork not to become full, but you are doing artwork from your fullness. You are loving someone and being in a relation, not to say finally I don't feel, empty and separate and small, but you are with someone from your fullness. Oh, it's heady. It's heady. The independence and the fullness. And it doesn't come just like one day. UPS package, hello, you have been going to satsang, here is some independence and here is some fullness. No, gradually, you just start experiencing it because you are being told, don't believe the smallness that the Maya is telling you. When you go to your Vedantic teacher and say, I am so broken-hearted, I am this, I am that, she is bad, he is good, I am this, I am that. Teacher just looks, waits for you to take a break, pause. Your 5 bodies are animated. Teacher is waiting. Silence. Silence is good. Little bit senses are quiet. Purnamida, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vashishyate. Hare, all this is your indulgence. I am small, I am small, I am small. You are full. Your fullness doesn't need this. Move on. Oh, Shunyaji, you really are wonderful. What Shunyaji? You are wonderful. So it goes like that, Purnatvam. Nobody can reject me. Even the rejection is nothing but an interesting play in my Purnam, in my fullness. Then balance of mind, Samatva. We are so moody, we are so changeable, and what will happen is you will notice that because of this jnana that is coming in you slowly, 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 it will become a great shock absorber. You are having the death of the most precious thing in your life, and you have tears, but you have knowledge with it. You are not broken. You understand? You understand? And even the tear may not be a tear of losing that person. Those tears may of lucky you. Okay, everybody knows I'm into death. So, I know. Like for 50, 60 years you have to drag the same asthidhatu joints. Then the muscles start hurting. Then it's time to take on a new layer, right? If nothing else. Okay. So, I'm not into that. I'm just into like, yeah, this is cool. You can do this. Okay? Because the whole of nature lives through all its bodies and changes itself. But nothing goes away anywhere. It just returns in new and new colors. It only goes away when it gets full mukti. So in Jivana Mukti, while living, you will feel swatantra, independent, you will feel purnatvam, fullness, you will feel balance, samatvam. And this is through knowledge of your real nature. And you will start applying it. You will start applying it gradually. And you will notice that you don't have so many highs and lows. And finally, at the end, when at Videha Mukti, that one is Jivana Mukti while living, and then at the time of dropping this physical sharira, if one has pierced through Maya at that time and is already in knowledge of Atman and Brahman and one's own self, and one can see the Maya, then what will happen is that at the dropping of this physical body, there will be no obligation to take on another body. There is no compulsion. Right now, we are compelled. Our Upanishads say that between the awake world, where we are walking around, and the next world, there is in between a dream world, where the Jivatma has to survey both the worlds, and then is obliged to move and travel through 14 lokas. And if we have been doing good deeds, we can be born in any of the 7 lokas above. And if we have done poor deeds, we have to be obliged to be born in 6 lokas below. And if we are Mr. and Miss mixed up, we are born in this bhuloka, which is exactly half-half. Half light, half darkness. Half this, half that. So all of us, including our avatars, were all born in bhuloka. What we call avatar, or what we evidence as real growth in somebody's consciousness, is their effort in this human life to break through the Maya. So this Bhuloka or earth, this dimension is a great dimension for half-half. But at the time of dropping this body, only physical body is dropped, only gross body is dropped, subtle body and causal body, wrapping the Atma, move on. And are obliged to start another story in this or another loka. That is called samsara. We are travelers, we just come, we start shop, we fight with each other, we transact, and then we leave it all. We come empty, we leave empty-handed. We come where we are clapped, welcome, welcome, and we are to go good riddance to this old bag of bones. Mostly. When the old person goes, even child inside them is relieved, it is gone. They cry, but they cry for themselves. This is such a world that when people are crying at the death, they are not crying for the one gone, they are crying for themselves. Oh, what sorrow, I was used to this person's presence. When the child comes, they laugh for their own laugh. I am so lucky, I will hold and cuddle. When that same child is formed badly, the same mother, father say, why did you not die in my womb? It is true. Such is the nature. We are traveling through this world and we try to create little settlements and you grow flower every day and the hot desert sun ruins it, and yet we collect and lose ourselves. Some of us even become insane in the process. Vedanta says, look what Maya has done to you. It has sucked the juice out of you, and yet you desire for something more and one more day on this. And so Vedanta is the ultimate wake-up call, and so Videha Mukti, where one is no longer obliged and one's body, Shariratrayam, mixes with Prapanchatrayam, with the entire Prapancha of the whole universe. This Sukshma body mixes with the Sukshma Sharir of the macrocosm. This causal body blends into the causal macrocosm, and the Atma, Jivatma, becomes one with the Paramatma, and at that time this Vyasti, this micro creation, becomes one with Samashti, the macro creation, and at that point one has become one with Supreme Consciousness, the oneness, and that oneness is actually Sat, eternal, Chit, full of wisdom, and Ananda, bliss. These are the benefits of this knowledge. But due to Maya, we remain in this world, and due to Maya, we perform actions from thought, speech, and our organs, hands and legs, and 5 organs of karma, karmendriya we call them, and we remain in this life, and based upon the fruit of the karma, we are obliged to take birth in a fixed womb, yoni, with a fixed duration that we have to be born, 62 years and 3 days, ayu, and bhoga. How much sorrow and how much joy we will get, it is prefixed, and we have no way of getting out of it. No place that we can bribe, no place we can pray. We have to be born, we have to live out that life, and we have to experience joy and sorrow. We are stuck in that bar, good, and the only way out of it is knowledge. Because Vedanta says, maybe you are not stuck. As long as you believe you are stuck, you are stuck. It gets very interesting. Till next time. Yeah.